Welcome back, everybody, to the Bucks Planet podcast. And today, as said in the title that I'm going to create, we're going to talk about the offensive strategy for how the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And I'm obviously this is going to be part one of how to beat the Chiefs. We're obviously only be talking about offense. I'm going to make a part two where we talk about how our defense can beat the Chiefs. And I've watched the film. I've I have the notes and the content for both. But today we're just gonna start with offense. And I will say this though. I mean the next video I make about talking about the defense. Oh boy, I mean that is going to be a video. I mean if I that's gonna be a video for sure. I mean, I don't even know how I'm going to be able to get that video under 2 hours, to be honest with you. There's the Chiefs, man, or offensively, it is impossible. Almost. So I have to stay tuned. But let's talk about the offense. So, first question is, can you look at the last game? Because the Chiefs and the Buccaneers, they played each other in the regular season of the NFL. I was actually at that game in person. It's the first game I went to all season. One of the two I went to. So I obviously paid a lot of attention to that game specifically. And so can you look at that game to kind of base yourself off of what's going to happen in this game? And the answer is no, you can't. Because there was a lot of things that happened in that game that are probably not going to happen in this game. And I'm going to talk about that. One of the main issues in the game from an offensive standpoint with the Bucks, and then I'll talk about the defense one in the later one. From an offensive standpoint, the Bucks went 3 and out a lot. They didn't really score that many points in the beginning, and then in the second half they scored, 21 almost unanswered points. And we were down 21-0, ended up losing 24-21. So, after the first quarter, we held the Chiefs to only 3 points. And meanwhile, the Bucks offense scored 21 points in the other 3 quarters of the game. So why'd that happen? Well, there was a lot of miscues. And if you remember, this was the game where everyone was starting to say fire Arians. This was kind of the game after the game. This was kind of when people were starting to say it. Because there was a lot of continuity errors on the offense. And a lot of people blame that on Bruce Arians. It's a good thing we kept him, obviously. But at the time, there was a lot of that going around. And a lot of it was just not having practiced long enough with each other. There was a specific couple plays I highlighted. There was one where, I wrote down. There was one where Mike Evans runs, he runs and he runs a curl. He runs a curl route. So, and Brady threw the ball too early. Meaning that he threw the ball, and Evans was still in the middle of turning around, and then it kind of goes high and over him, and it was inaccurate because he didn't. Brady expected him to run farther and turn quicker, and Mike Evans ran shorter, and so that kind of messed up the timing there, and it looked like a really bad incomplete pass, and it was. There's another one where there was a slant over the middle to Cameron Brate where the ball goes right through his hands, but he's not even really looking for the ball. Brady snaps it, fires it as hard as he can through immediately, and Brate's just kind of, he just got off his route on the slant, and it kind of just goes through him. A lot of that has gotten cleaned up, believe it or not, because I was mad about all that stuff too, even though it was week 11, and we still were having issues with feeling each other out. I thought that was bad. But since the bye week, a lot of that has cleaned right up. And that's why I don't think those specific issues are going to happen again. We're much more fine-tuned offensively. We know each other. We're not just, kind of playing at will and just kind of barely knowing each other like we were in the beginning. And so even though it was a long process, we're kind of finally there. So I don't think that's going to happen again. And here's the main takeaway. So that was pretty much the last game, right? So the main issues offensively from last game were the ones I just said, and so that's why I don't think it's a great. It's good to, I don't know. It's not even really good to kind of watch. It's kind of stupid. Actually, I mean, there is a couple things. Um, but here's what the Bucks need to do to beat the Kansas City Chiefs this go around offensively. Obviously, no turnovers. That goes with kind of without being said. But let me just explain how exactly what, because a lot of this is what we need to do and then what we need to get the Chiefs to do. And so here it is. The reason we scored a lot of the time, the reason we scored all those points in the second half against the Chiefs was because of the fact that they switched from running man coverage to zone coverage. And we are very, very good against zone coverage. We're okay against man. You think we'd be better against man with all, we have 3 Pro Bowl receivers, so that means, either Antonio Brown or Chris Godwin's going to get their cornerback 3, and they're playing man to man. I mean, you'd think, they'd beat them, right? But we've had some trouble with it in certain coverages, like cover 2. And the Chiefs are really known for running man. They're kind of like us defensively. They're really good at running man. They're good at blitzing. They have Tyrann Mathieu, very good safety, very good football player. Rashad Breeland's a very good corner, one of the best in the NFL. And they're going to have to force Kansas City to stop playing man. And there's only one way to do this, is you have to beat them, while playing man. And the way you do this, really, I think is going to be the X factors of the game offensively. Is going to be our tight ends, Rob Gronkowski and Cameron Brate. Last time when they kept running man, the way we kind of got them to stop playing man was because Gronk and Cameron Brate matched up very well on Kansas City safeties, because when you're in man coverage and you have 4 wide receivers, that pretty much takes up a linebacker and then all 3 of your corners if you're playing nickel. And then you have a safety that's going to, if you have 2 safeties on the field, who's going to have to cover one of the tight ends, depending on certain packages. And our tight ends win that matchup, even though Kansas City has very good covering safeties, but our tight ends, especially Gronk, he's bigger. And Cameron Brate runs good routes. He catches the ball well. And our tight ends won those matchups. And then because we kept throwing to tight ends, there was big plays to tight ends, it forced Kansas City to stop playing man coverage. And so they switched to zone, and then we absolutely obliterated their zone coverage. And that's what needs to happen again. They're going to come out and play man. And you just kind of have to hope that, hopefully they didn't learn from their mistakes last time when we almost came back and beat them, that to not play man against us. Hopefully that, you just got to hope that eventually that they don't learn anything and they'll come out and play zone again. That's probably not what's going to happen. But here's the thing. If they keep calling man, sure, it'll work most of the time, but they will get burnt a few times. And so hopefully, if they keep running man and we can burn them 1 or 2 times, it'll scare them into playing zone. And then once they play zone, that's when we go to work. That's when Tom Brady, he hit that huge pass to Gronk in the Week 11 game against the Chiefs. He hit that, huge play to Mike Evans. Same thing. All of that happened because they were playing zone, and Brady's so good at reading zone that you can't really disguise anything. They tried. They had linebackers come up. They had defensive line drop back, and he just knows immediately what you're doing. They had 3 rotating safeties at a time. He still knows what you're doing. He's amazing. He's the greatest quarterback of all time. We need them to play zone, not man, because for man, it's confusing because it's not that the coverage is confusing. It's just sometimes it's hard to get open on it. And the only way to get the Chiefs not to play what they're best at man, they will beat us playing man, is to scare them out of man. Just by having that one good play or a few good plays on man, and hopefully, Steve Spagnuolo, their defensive coordinator, will switch and call zone because he's, afraid that the tight ends and they're beating them too much. And they'll call zone, then we go to work. And then because we're going to have to put up at least 30 to win this game, at least 30, 35 points to win this game. And we need them to be playing zone to do that. So, again, I believe using the tight ends is going to be the biggest factor in this game if they come out and play man. We need to use the tight ends to break open plays, to beat their safeties, to beat their linebackers, so then they'll then have to switch to calling zone, and then we can score more points. That's when we match up very well, is when when other teams call zone coverage. When we're against zone coverage, we play very, very well against it. Another interesting thing I saw on film, which I didn't notice at all at any point in the season, is the Chiefs safeties have a weird tendency. They're probably obviously coached to do this. They line up very close to the line of scrimmage. Not very close. They just line up pretty far. Safeties are normally 10, 15, 20 yards off the ball. And the Chiefs safeties usually aren't. They line up very close, and they always cheat towards the middle when they line up. And you can take advantage of that offensively. And we did, actually, in the second half. When Mike Evans ran that deep ball touchdown route, if you throw a ball that's high and towards the sideline, though, that's where the space is against the Chiefs. Because if they have two safeties and they're cheating middle, you can kind of run a deep ball or a deep route towards the sideline and kind of bend up, right? And that's kind of where the space is to work with. And we did that. We scored. We had a touchdown on it last time. And they still kind of do that. And, if they continue to do that, that's the way you're going to have to beat them again. High and towards the sideline. That's where the deep balls are when they call zone. Or if they have just two safeties on the field who are in the zone coverage, regardless if they call man or not. Because what Mike Evans did, he ran a kind of an interesting route. It was, so if this is Mike Evans, eventually the route kind of ended up, in the end zone, but it was kind of weird. He went out and then up, and I don't really think that was designed to be in the route. I think he just saw the coverage, looked at film, realized that, instead of just, because he was kind of not super far to the outside like here, he's more of kind of here. He realized that you have to get towards the sideline to do that, and so he went outside up. The safety who was cheating middle then has to go make up all the field to get over there to Mike Evans. He's not going to be able to do it because Mike Evans is fast. He's a great receiver. And this goes for all of our other receivers too. Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Scotty Miller. This all is the same thing. High into the outside towards the sideline, right? That's where you want it. If the safeties keep doing that, which they have done all season, so I don't know why they want it. Now here's an interesting thing. One thing, I would say the main thing the Bucs have to look out for is the blitz protection. It's gotten better since the bye week. It has. It's still not great, but it's gotten better. Another example of when it wasn't great was last week when Leonard Fournette led up, went on the wrong side of the offensive line and gave up a block that then forced Brady to attempt to throw the ball away. But his arm was hit by that defender, and he wasn't able to, so it ended up being an interception because Leonard Fournette did not know who to block on the play, and then by the time he did, it was too late, and it caused an interception. The same thing happened in the Chiefs game when Ronald Jones missed his block completely. The guy hits Brady, the ball was underthrown, it was an interception. It wasn't a great decision anyways, but that's just what ended up happening. And the Bucs need to look out for this issue again because it happened last week, and turnovers, it was kind of weird last week. We had, Brady had 3 picks in the second half, and yet still won the game. And I would have normally said, if you have really any turnovers against the Packers, you're going to score. They have Aaron Rodgers, good offense. And then that ends up not being the case at all. But this week, I can 100% guarantee you cannot have those turnovers again. And you cannot, I know some of that's on Brady, obviously. But for the team around him to give up turnovers like that, to have misassigned blocks, not know where they're supposed to be on blitz protection, that cannot happen against the Chiefs. Because if there's any type of fumble, interception, hit on the quarterback, that ends up in a fumble or pick, the Chiefs will score on those. And so you can't let those up. And that's still kind of the biggest weakness on the offensive line standpoint. And it's mostly coming from the running backs. And a lot of people have asked me and have noticed, I even kind of asked myself that, I was like, so why is Leonard Fournette starting and not Ronald Jones? And I just want to say something that a lot of you people, my lovely fans out there that, sometimes think they know more than me. It's like, all right, sometimes they're going to put you guys in your place. Ronald Jones is not benched right now because he's injured. He was injured, and that did play a part in his benching. Right, that's the Saints game, and then the Washington game the week before. That was because he was injured. But he's been back now. He's been back for a while now. Now he's probably not 100%. But he started all season-wise. Fournette starting. Make no doubt about it, Ronald Jones is benched. And it's not because of his injuries. It's because of the fact that he can't block. And a lot of you guys just think that, oh, when you're a running back, you look at the yards and you look at all that stuff. You're like, oh, this is great. He's one of the best running backs in the league. He's all these things. You guys kind of diminish because it doesn't show up in the stat sheet of how important blocking is if you're a running back. It's really, it goes rushing and then blocking. Ronald Jones cannot block at all, not even a little. I understand blocking's hard as a running back, but you have to at least just put yourself there in a position to be just be a body in the way from a defender trying to get to your quarterback. Just be there instead of, there's a lot of times where he doesn't even know where he's supposed to be. He'll go on the wrong side. The guy comes in free, or the guy will just juke him out and he doesn't even get to touch him. He needs to at least be there, so at least the defender has to push him over. That delays a second or two. I mean, I would be fine with that rather than being on the wrong side, letting a free rusher go, double blocking a guy while another guy goes, or just missing and whiffing completely. And that's what Ronald Jones does a lot of the time. And that's why he's benched. Ronald Jones is the backup running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And a lot of you guys don't seem to understand that now. And I did against the Packers. And it's funny because Leonard Fournette has the exact same problems, but he's a little bit better at it than Ronald Jones. Leonard Fournette overall is outplaying Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones is benched, and it's not because of his injuries. With that being said, though, Fournette's got to step it up too now, because you would assume now that Leonard Fournette will be getting the start, and I think he is. He will be getting the start in the Super Bowl, and he's going to have to block better than he did against the Packers, because it just was one time. That one time was an interception. One interception can be the difference of winning and losing the Super Bowl. That's how big of a deal this is. We have to be almost perfect to beat them. Almost perfect offensively to beat them. No turnovers. Ronald Jones, okay, golly. Ronald Jones had a history of fumbling. Not really this year, but over the course of his career. If he comes in and fumbles, I'm going to beat my TV in with the baseball bat. If there's any fumbles, if there's stupid picks, this is going to be a stressful game for old Bucks playing over here. And Fournette's going to need to learn to block better, because if there's an interception and it's because the ball, if Brady's arm is hit and it's a fumble or a pick, and I go back and watch the film, or if I can probably just see it on the replay, and I see Fournette whiffing or not being on the right side to block the guy, I will have a temper tantrum. That's what's going to happen. I will be so irritated. I will be screaming. I will be posting on my story. I will be wanting us to cut him. And that's not even, obviously that's like semi-joke, but it's just like, what I do on my Snapchat stories. I just like, if you make a bad play, I say cut you. And we just need to not make dumb errors like that. We cannot beat ourselves. We cannot miss stupid blocks. Fournette. We also can't drop the ball. We can't do that, Fournette. Fournette is better than Ronald Jones at this point. He's the hot hand. That's who's getting the start. It makes sense. But he has similar issues as Ronald Jones in terms of he can't catch and he can't block. He cannot catch and he cannot block. I mean, wouldn't you know? Can we just have a running back that can catch and block, like Najee Harris or something? Could you imagine if we had whatever? Leonard Fournette's not bad, and Ronald Jones isn't bad. They're both good at running the ball. It's just they can't block. But Fournette's better at it than Ronald Jones. Again, he's getting the start. And all those factors combine into the offensive strategy and to beating the Chiefs. Force the Chiefs to stop calling man and call zone. Obviously, we have our continuity back. Or we gained continuity, so we're not going to have those miscues like in the last game where we were just kind of not on the same page, hopefully. The deep balls, right, their safeties cheat in. You want to throw those deep balls to the sideline, high into the outside. And then Leonard Fournette's going to need to block. He's going to need to run well. And mostly he can just block. I know he's going to run. He's good at running. And the Chiefs, there are holes in this Chiefs defense. for running the ball. There's holes. Ronald Jones didn't even have a bad day, even though he gave up that interception. That was partially, Brady's fault, but still. Ronald Jones missed the block and caused the interception. That's what I'm referring to. Ronald Jones had a decent day on the ground. Hopefully Fournette will too. There will be some running lanes open. It's just he needs to block. We need to not miss blocks and ruin plays because of things like that, and ruin drives because of that. So those are the factors that go into the offense's strategy to beating the Chiefs and winning the Super Bowl. Hopefully. I cannot believe we're in the Super Bowl still. I cannot believe it. I can't believe I don't have a ticket. There's limited fans this year. It's been very irritating. So I will not be attending the Super Bowl, unfortunately. I was not one of the season pass members selected in the raffle. I don't really know anyone who was. I think they only gave out like 1,500 tickets out of the 20,000 plus season ticket holders. So I was unfortunately not one of them. So I'll be watching from my home, but I will be in Tampa, obviously. I'm in my room. And so, this isn't the last one. So I'll see you guys next time. And hopefully the offense can do these things because there's a lot of people are not giving us a chance to win this game. That's not true. The Bucs can win this game. And it's going to be very tough, though, obviously. And the Chiefs are heavily favored for good reason. But it's not impossible for the Bucs to win. If they do all these things, they do them correctly, they can easily win the game. Right? But it's just very hard to do. And it's mostly, honestly, at the end of the day, it's really going to come down to how our defense performs. And, oh boy, again, that's going to be a video. And I'll probably post that one, obviously, later this week before the Super Bowl. And with that, I will see you guys next time for the defensive strategy video. Go Bucs.